Should be live. There we're live. Now we're going. 3 out of 3. I needed to say 3 out of 3 to make sure I was on all the platforms. We're back. A little bit of internet issues last week, but Pam and myself are back, and it's a good one. We're back for a good one. You can see I got a picture here of beautiful the ocean. This whole, if you watch any of this too, like just the views are going to be great. It's not like God, what was the one with the lighthouse? RBC, where there's a couple holes at the end that are against the ocean. This is like all the holes. It's long, it's splayed out, a lot of water, a lot of beaches, a lot of very nice views, and it's also super hard. What did you figure out when you did a little research on the course this week, Pam?
That it's long. It is it's over 7,800 yards. What is interesting about this course, it is past Palm Greens, and that's something that you don't really see too often on the PGA Tour, but you do see them at courses like Mayakoba, at Corales Punta Cana, and you see them on the European Tour at Saudi International. So there is some of courses with some players who do have some experience at some of these courses. But the thing you have to understand is when you're looking at these courses, these Corales, these Mayakobas, the strength of field is not necessarily indicative of how well these players are going to do because you don't really have too many of the top 10, the top 25 players, but it is at least somewhat getting a familiarity with these types of putting greens that you're going to see on the course. And yeah, 7,800 yards, that's hella long. And it's a coastal course, it's in South Carolina, so there's going to be lots of wind. So I want to look at the players who good iron shots, good off the tee, your typical, and then putting. I think we'll see what happens with those.
Yeah, a lot of talk about the grass, a lot of talk about the putting surfaces this week already. And
hmm
as you've seen, I just teed off and I put it in the sand because I didn't even preview my shot. I just hauled off because I forgot all about that. But yeah, and I think the tide is up in the course I'm playing because it looks like there's more water in here than the actual map I looked at. I did birdie first of all. I couldn't find the course record here. I don't know. It's not a regular stop on the tour. Everybody knows they
Right.
did play here in 2012.
Oh,
Rory won by what,
a
eight?
lot.
Yeah, he won. He
he
won by a
shot
ton.
he shot 13 under, and the second place guy shot 5 under. So that just tells you the type of dominance that Rory McIlroy had.
Yeah, he ripped it apart. And it's funny too. I was looking at some props, and there was like a Rory to make a eagle on the first round, and I'm like, I wonder how many eagles he made during the tournament he actually won, and it was zero. I went. It took me a little doing, but I went back and found that scorecard. He did not make a single eagle. It's a tough course. I mean, you can see here,
hmm
like this is. I guess this is a 5. And again, I'm playing on baby mode, and I'm hauling off with the 3 wood off the deck here, and just absolutely look at that. That's just gorgeous right there. Virtual Andy needs to hit the weight room. He says, "Oh my gosh, that might drop." I thought I'd have a Tross there, but yeah, a couple same kind of notes that you had. The front 9 you can score a little. The back 9 is going to be tough, especially with the wind. We did know their note. They are able to use. There's like 6 tee boxes per hole. So they're able to kind of switch things up based on how the winds are playing. If it gets one of these holes that's really, really catching a headwind, they're going to move it up and say, well, we're going to use a different tee box. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to hit the green on this par 3 because there are going to be some nasty headwinds along the course here. So, yeah, and like you said about Maricopa and Corrales, it's tough because it was like, oh, it's the same greens, but then you look and it's like, oh, that was a really shitty field, or like, that was, it's like nobody, Rory's not going and playing down in Puerto Rico. It's a whole different field,
Right.
so it is tough. But who did you come up? Oh, somebody hit me with the course record. Germany's own Alex Seka has a
Mm.
course record, 9 under. Oh, I forgot they did hold some World Cups here, the Golf World Cups here. So
Well,
nine
good find
under.
because I wasn't even able to find that.
Oh yeah, I poked around for 5 minutes and gave up. So, who did you come up with for your winner?
I think, okay, first off, let's do a little caveat that there are so many players in the field that can win this tournament. A lot of guys who are coming into good form. There's a lot of players who have some top 10 finishes, top 5 finishes in recent weeks who are ball striking phenomenally. But I'm going to go with Victor Hovland at plus 2,200. And because he does have some familiarity with those courses that I was talking about, yes, the field is a little bit weaker, but he does have a win at both Puerto Rico and at Mayakoba. So the green familiarity is there. And then his recent form, he took third at the Valspar, he took third at Wells Fargo Championship, and he hit green He was in the green in every single stat category. Strokes gained on the approach. His iron shots was great. His ball striking overall was phenomenal. He did gain strokes around the green, which is typically his worst part of his game. This guy's terrible around the green. And he gained strokes in his around the green in his last three events, and he's gaining strokes putting. So I really like what this guy is doing. And what is better than getting a third place finish? A win.
Yeah, and I mean, you did get the best of them. I shopped around and looked, and 22 is about the best you're gonna find. It's still out there, but there are some books that are taking them at lower numbers. I've seen 20s and 18s, so I kind of found someone in that same realm, in that 20-ish range. I didn't want to play one of the big favorites. I know
Mhm.
Rory's priced where he is now, and it's tough to play on him. And somebody I've dogged on a little, maybe I played him earlier in the year. I know I used him in a one and done for sure, which is also a good reminder for me to figure out my one and dones for this week. I used Jordan last week a lot. I should have obviously on Mr. Lee there, but he's top five in half the tournaments he's played this year. That's 4 out of 8, top 20 in two more. And really, it's just like he hits the ball far enough for me. He doesn't have any red flags. I know it's not a big number, but I don't mind. Oh, I guess I went in the rough
Who
here.
is your
They're
outright?
telling me Xander. Oh,
Oh, Xander.
I was forget you can't see the banner. We're fixing that eventually. But yep, Mr. Xander Schauffele. I think you might have even played against him in a different one. I'm
I
gonna have
did
to
in
look
a
at
head to
that.
head.
I know you certainly don't
It's
take
my
him.
head to head against. No, it's my outright winner versus your outright winner. I took Hovland over
Oh
over
shit,
Xander.
that's funny. But yeah, Xander, I can't seem to get this guy right for the most part, but hopefully I'm sort of on here because I did play him to win. And gosh, this hole, I went tee to rough to sand. I guess it's a par four. I was gonna say maybe it's a five, and I can have some little bit of leeway here. But yeah, Xander right around 20. I don't know if I was able to find anything better than that. I looked around a little. I don't love the outrights a lot this week either. It's it's
Right.
it's been tough for me, and I'm not great with outrights. It is. I had some Sam Burns last week. We all seen how that went. I did right off the bat. I found a few long shots I played right away, including some of our guy Corey Connors had a bigger number. I know a lot of people played him. I know some people played some Hatton right away. Uh,
hmm
Missing putts, but who did you go for with your long shot?
I actually hate my long shot. After doing some study, I took Thomas Peters at plus 650 for a top 20. I'm not taking him to win. It's just to finish in the top 20, but I don't necessarily have the utmost confidence in this. It is a long shot for a reason. It's high for a top 20, but he took 15th and 13th at the Puerto Rico at the Corrales. He did take 8th at the Zurich, though, of course, we do know that that is a team event. But this guy, I mean, he's a European tour player, and he does have some good Euro finishes, including at Saudi, which is another Post Greens course. So, I mean, I don't know. There's not too many stats you can find on him because he doesn't play in the States as often, but he did miss the cut last week. However, there is some positive to that because he gained strokes on his approach, he gained strokes ball striking and tee to green. He only lost strokes putting, and I'm always in favor of a guy who's gaining strokes tee to green but losing off of putting.
Oh yeah, he's a guy I like too. He's a big hitter. He plays well. It is tough. Yeah, approaching the green and Corey Connors named a more iconic duo. Dan said that in the chat for sure. Yeah, Peter, it is tougher with the European guys. They're able to find some info, but I struggle with that as well. I know some guys who have some good info on that, and they keep it close to the chest because it's how you win a lot of these matchups with some better info. But I ended up on Louis Oosthuizen.
Louis Oosthuizen.
Again, a big number. There are 90s out there on this guy to win it, which I'm not playing. Maybe I will just for. I always feel bad when I do one of these long shots and I don't end up playing on it. But
So is this
kind
for
of
a top 20?
yeah. So I did top 20. Like I put on the banner top 20 plus 290. Not as big of a number as Thomas Peters, but Louis top 20 plus 290. He's a guy I've backed in the past. I like him, and it was a really big number for somebody who's played well. And again, I'll have some of him in probably the top 30, top 40 markets. He hasn't missed a cut this year, and he's been inside the top 30 in 5 out of his 6 tournaments. Just kind of a steady Eddie guy. He's been around the block. He knows what he's doing. I'm not too worried about him just going absolute rogue at this tournament. So Louis at plus 290 is a play for me. And then, yeah, like I said, you can find some. 90 to ones on him to win the
Mm.
tournament if you really want to get squirrely. And like I said, I often do. I like to get squirrely. So I'm gonna sink him pretty. I had a bogey in there. It wasn't great. The sand really got to me. Had to get back on track if I'm gonna hit that 9 under.
I don't
But
hate that play at all because if you're talking about a course where he's good with his iron shots, so all he needs to do is be good with his iron shot, and he is a great short game player. That's kind of exactly what you want for players to do well in tournaments.
yeah, and we talked about him a little earlier too. Like gorgeous swing. He's gonna be fine. He's savvy vet. He'll be all right. I just need him. Like I am gonna play top 20, top 30, top 40 on him. I think, and definitely I'll have to check out if it's dead heats or not. But yeah,
Right.
you kind of already gave away the good surprise on the head to head. But I mean, talk to me again. I mean, you obviously love Hovland. What's the play there on the head to head? The marquee head to head.
It's that your outright is Xander, so then I'm just gonna go against you because no, I'm just kidding. It's just it's Hovland. I mean, I like him. I love his composure. What I love about this guy, what I love about this player is that when he misses a bad shot, he does. You can't really ever tell. He's just like, "Oh, I hit a good shot. Cool. I hit a bad shot. Cool." He just kind of like brushes everything off. I like the mental game that he has, and of course his recent form that I already mentioned. He took the third at the Valspar and third at Wells Fargo. On Pete Dye tracks, he does have history of doing well on Pete Dye, but I just like that he's gaining strokes putting. His ball striking has been great, and more importantly, he's gaining strokes around the green. And you know, Xander, he is a great player. There's nothing,
Yeah,
there's not
I
a
know
lot
you
to,
you have to sit here and talk shit about Xander now, right to my face.
there's nothing to say about him other than I think, well, like I said, I think a lot of players can win this tournament. But if I think that Hovland is going to finish in the top five, then it doesn't matter who he's going up against because they're not going to be in the top five with with Hovland.
Well, and there is something to be said for head-to-heads versus outright markets. Like, there's
Right.
obviously a lot of correlation, but there are some guys where it's like, oh, this guy is going top five, or he's not seeing the weekend. Like, there are some ceiling floor guys. I know I play head-to-heads quite a bit differently than I do outrights. And somebody in the chat says Connor's top Canadian minus 165. Show me a better bet. Yeah, it's like Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes, and
Hadwin.
that's it.
Right.
I think like a couple of these they've given, and you'll see that when we get to nationalities. There's quite a few of those that get weird. So that there's only two or three guys. I ended up going with the rose fade. I'm always going with the rose fade. It didn't work in the Masters. It hasn't worked in a few things, but I am kind of still on the fence about that Masters performance. I don't know if that was real or mirage. He hasn't really done anything
Mm-hmm.
else, and I'm fine going with against him again with a guy in Paul Casey who I like quite a bit. So I ended up having to lay a stroke and a half with Paul Casey. I like him a lot, but yeah, hopefully it is more of a rose fade. And Casey's had a nice year. He's had four straight top tens earlier this season, and really he was 26th at Augusta, and he outside of his putting, he was pretty good last week too, or at the Valspar rather. So I'm not afraid to ever back Paul Casey. He's a guy I've backed a lot in the past, and I will continue, especially against Mr. Rose, who is yeah, he's gonna be a fave for me. I played against him in a different one, and I can't. Oh, I played Schwartzel over him, and that moved a bunch, which was it's awful nice. It's always a good feeling
When you have
when the
the
number
good line
yeah,
movement.
when it moves your way. So Casey minus 1.5 strokes over Rose for the full tournament is mine, which leads us to the which I don't know if I'm Paul Casey is my marquee one, so I'm giving him some shine. But for the down the board, these aren't going to be our outrights. So with
No. I'm taking Thomas Peters at minus 125 over Victor Perez. This is purely off of who has the better around the green, and that's going to be Thomas Peters. And I think around the green is really going to come into play on this course. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for players to miss the green. If you see they are a little bit more elevated, one of the things that Pete Dye's wife wanted was, hey, we built this course and it's called the Ocean Course, but we can't see the we can't see the ocean. So they elevated the greens a little bit. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to hit the green and the ball drop down, or to hit short of the green and now you got to hit a little bit up elevation to get onto there. So I really like a player who has the opportunity to have a better short game than his opponent. So I'm going to take a little flyer on Thomas Peters, somebody who I like to potentially be in the top 20 over Victor Perez, who we have not seen play since the Masters.
yeah, it's been a while for him, and like you said too, she came up, Pete Dye's wife came up earlier in a chat as we were talking about that exact thing came up where she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make them more elevated, which would have been even tougher. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she helped design a lot of the courses. So I was like, oh, it's a Pete Dye course. Well, it was her too. She actually did quite a bit of work on the architecture on these courses, and I went with an English fade. Again, a lot of mine are fades rather than plays. I think I went with Jason Kokrak over Harris English.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Harris English won a tournament this year. I'm picking on him a little, but again, Kokrak, three straight top tens earlier this year. He played well at Copperhead, and it's his tee to green numbers getting back to where they were last summer, where when he played pretty well. He had a nice stretch last summer, and again, yes, English did win the Tournament of Champions, which is weird since he was in the Tournament of Champions without even winning a tournament, which is not how that's supposed to work. But outside of that, I haven't been super impressed. He sprinkled in a few missed cuts and some other suspect results when his irons let him down a bit. So I'm going to be against English here with Jason Kokrak, and it's only minus 105. So I'm getting a nice price on this on a guy who I think can play a lot better versus English, who, spoiler alert, I don't know if he'll be around through the weekend.
Well, and to kind of add on to that, Harris English does have a 13th place finish that he's coming off of at Byron Nelson, but the winner was a 25 under. So that just kind of tells you that he needed to have a course this easy in order to do so well.
Yeah, he
It's a little
hasn't
bit of
been.
false.
It sucks because it's another guy that I like. Like I liked him a lot last year. I bet him a lot last year, and it's tough when you have to turn heel. But that is betting. You have to be fully willing to absolutely turn your back and
Agreed.
stab someone in the back after you've bet on them a bunch, whether it's a team or golfer. So, yep, English. Actually, Cockrack over English, which leads us to, again, I kind of alluded. A lot of spoilers on this one, but miss and make the cut. I don't know how I've done on these races recently. I just always am going to remember the Justin Rose one. Who'd you end up going with on this one?
I'm doing well. This is the best bet that I have been making are the make miscuts. I've hit back to back miscuts, and this one I'm gonna do a make cut, and I'm gonna take Emiliano Grillo at minus 175 to make the cut. He has a lot of Paspalum Greens experience because he doesn't just play, but he excels at Puerto Rico, at the OHL Classic at Mayakoba, at the Mayakoba Golf Classic at Corrales. So he plays this every year, these tournaments, and then on Pete Dye courses, he did take second at the RBC Heritage, and then his recent form, he took 14th at the Wells Fargo Championship after missing the cut, and he had a sixth place finish and a second place finish back to back. That was Corrales and then the RBC. So I think this player is probably under the radar of somebody who can contend in this field. And like I already talked about, the level of difficulty at those courses, they don't necessarily equate, but it's all about experience too. He knows how to putt on these greens, and he's really good with his ball striking. So I'll take a shot on him.
Yeah, I played Grillo in a matchup earlier today as well. I like him quite a bit. I had some nice things to say about him. He's one of probably, I don't know. I like the Chilean kid too as well. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they are lesser tournaments, but he still played well. Like it's still
Right?
golf. You still have to go play good golf. Like
Yeah.
you can't help it if the field is bad. Like you
Right.
still have to go out there and beat the course. So I ended up, like I said, spoiler alert: Harris English to miss the cut is plus
Mm.
185. I'm just gonna kind of ride the English fade a little, and yes, thank you, Sherbet. That was a hell of a putt. I sunk that
Yeah.
on the back lip there. I didn't think that one was going in. We are 7 under through 12, which I don't think would actually happen if I was playing golf here. But Harris English, again, picking on him. I needed to like pick which bad things I was going to say about him during each of the bets, but I'm down on him. It's a top heavy field. And really, for being 6'3", he's not that big of a driver of the ball. He only hits it about 295, which is tour average. And it's funny to say only 295. I would kill to have that be my driving
Mm-hmm.
average. But again, like a big guy like that, hitting it kind of in the middle of the field on a long course like this, I'm going to take him to miss the cut. And it was plus 150. I got a nice plus number here, so I'm willing to kind of, stick with what I'm saying about Horace English and bet against him a couple times here. So my miss the cut. I didn't find a good make the cut. All the guys I really like are kind of near the top of the board. I didn't want to pay all that, but yeah, Griot minus 175 for you, and English to miss at plus 150. I don't hate those at all, especially if that's your thing. Like if your make miss the cut bets are working, like definitely,
Trust it.
Dance with Who Brung Ya. And yeah, again, nationality. I talked about this earlier. They're spreading
So
these
many.
out. They're spreading these out, especially in a big tournament like this. There's super amounts of these, and some of them, like when someone brought up the Canadian one, there are only like three Canadians, which
Hmm.
leads us to ours. I think there's even fewer. What did you?
Yeah.
Yours was?
Mine's a head-to-head matchup. It's
Yeah.
top Belgium, and there's only two options, and it's Thomas Peters versus Thomas Detry. Detry. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I'm gonna go with Detry. Terrible, but I'm gonna roll. If I'm liking Peters in this spot, then I'm gonna like him in a head-to-head matchup with just one other player, and it's for the same reasons. I'm going for the guy who has good around the green stats versus a guy who doesn't. So hopefully that comes out to fruition. And it's up. You gotta just be better than one person.
It's someone I was speaking to somebody about mine because mine is also just a one-on-one kind of thing. And I feel like there is a small chance that if it does tie, it might be dead heat rules, which would
Oh
suck.
no.
Yeah, I looked at that. I'm like, God, I bet it is because the other ones are. So be
Hmm.
careful. Don't get too wild with these because I did the same thing. Mine is also a just two person Victor Perez over Rosner. I'm not,
Hmm.
you bet against Perez. I'm fine with that. I'm not looking at him to win this tournament at all, but
Right.
I do have him rated above Rosner quite a bit. I don't even know if I'm saying these French guys' names or Perez is pretty hard to mess up, but this has
Hmm.
actually started to get steamed up a little bit. I had it at minus 120. It's minus 134 now, so I guess I'm not the only one liking betting against Rosner here. He has a win in Qatar earlier this year, I think it was somewhere in one of those Middle Eastern tournaments that the Europeans play. But I like Perez a lot better. He made the cut at Augusta. He played very well in the match play, which I don't know how I'm using the match play stats at all. If I'm looking at that and saying like, oh, because some of the holes don't even get finished. You're picking up
Right.
the ball and stuff. How do you take any of those stats and use them?
I'm
But
not. I'm
yeah,
completely disregarding them.
all I can do with that one is say he was in the final four.
Yeah.
Like he played well. He made it
You
through
played
a
well?
bunch. Like that's the only thing I could possibly do is say like somebody played well and made it through multiple rounds, and Victor Perez did. So I'm taking him at minus 120. It's up to minus 134. I wouldn't go too nuts if it keeps getting steamed. I know it's minus 150 at some places. Maybe that'd probably be the breaking point for me. So Perez over Rosner. Rosner. I don't know. We're gonna find
Ross.
out. Somebody's gonna tell me. What is hole in one? They didn't even have hole in one markets last year or last week. This
No.
week I looked at it too. I didn't quite know what to make of it, but it looks like we are kind of in agreement. So I'll let you lead off on that.
I'm going with the favorite. That seems to be working. So roll with the favorite, and the favorite is no. It's a tough course. It's long. There's going to be wind. It's kind of hard to figure how there will be one. I know that the greens are long and the greens are big, but it's just I don't see that's just the level of difficulty. There wasn't one in 2012, so gotta kind of roll with that.
Yeah, I also went with no. And bad news for us, there was one in a practice round today.
Oh no.
I
Well,
know
you know what? That just means that they got all the good
I
juju.
know, and usually that's what happens. Like when someone skips one over the water and it goes in the hole when they're scoofing around. Usually, then there's not one during the tournament. I'm gonna go with that. It's complete bias and it's wrong, but I'm going with that. And Wyndham Clark was supposedly maybe not even healthy, and he ended up putting one in on I think 17. But yeah, I'm in the same way. And someone just said it's pronounced Roser and just wrote out his name.
Rosner.
That didn't help me at all. Like someone's gonna have
Rosner.
to help me, but. Yeah, they're damn tough threes here. A couple over 200 yards, and there are some in the field in general is there's some of these like course pros and stuff. So and some older players, like you have in some of these majors where former winners and stuff can play. So you take away some of their shots maybe. Although those are the guys that do get lucky and end up banking one of these. So I went with the no. It was minus 110 when I made my notes today. So it was about even on both sides in a few places. So I'm just
Hmm.
gonna go with no. I've played a couple par threes already here. I haven't come even close. I had one skip past the hole, so I
And
should
this course
just
is playing a lot more different than it did in 2012. So if it was difficult then, it's probably going to be more difficult now. And rain
Yeah,
is in the as of right now. Rain could not sorry, rain wind could potentially be an issue. So let's
yeah,
bank on some wind.
a shitload of wind. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully it's windy. There's some of these part threes where they're saying they may like have to lay up in certain areas because it's going to be so
Wow.
tough with the wind. I know later in the tournament.
But
So
I have a little cheat note for you to remember Rosner. Just think of Trent Reznor.
is it just Rosner?
Reznor.
I
Well,
don't know.
that's how I'm going to remember
Yeah,
Rosner
I'm
from
just
now
gonna go.
on.
I'm gonna go with Rose. Oh, it's French though. I feel like they're gonna be mad at me now. I already insulted French people last night on the deep dive, but yeah. All right, your. I'm gonna just say it. Your pancake stuff. Your
My
pancake thing.
pancake
Your wild.
bets.
I call it wild card, but you definitely people who follow you on
My
Twitter know
pancake bets.
know it's a pancake bet. What do you got here? It's something.
I'm going to
Anything.
go with
Let's
Griot.
learn.
It's going to be, I think that he really does have an opportunity here to be within the top 20. And if his putting is on even just a little bit, he gained 3 strokes on his putting at Wells Fargo Championship. So if he can stick to kind of some of that positive vibes going with the flat stick, then maybe we can see him in the top 10. My little pancake bet is going to be Emiliano Grino, top 10 at plus 700 odds.
That's a big number.
That is a good bet number. That's why it's called a pancake bet.
Yeah, and I
Half a
do like.
stack.
It's nice too. I might try to find that too, and maybe I'm kind of a wuss. Maybe I'll just play him top 20 because it's tough sledding, but that's a nice big number. I like Creel a lot. I went with a. I didn't even put up the hole in one slide because we both just said no right away. I
No.
found top Aussie, but
Okay.
only for round one. It was under the round
Mm,
one bets. Like it was like
interesting.
who will be top five round one, who will be and then underneath all of that it was just top Aussie round one. And
Okay.
I make like the top five guys. I find that I took a screenshot. It's Cam Smith, Leishman, Scott, Jason Day, Matt Jones, Cameron Davis. I took Cameron Davis. He's the sixth favorite. He's only ahead of
Mm.
Scrivener and Lucas Herbert. He's 9-1. And the way I had these rated, I don't have a really big difference between those top six guys.
So
Like
go for
they're
the long shot.
yeah, they're all very close. As I just
Hmm.
sunk a birdie putt. So yeah, 9-1 on him I thought was a little off. Again, it's just a fun little prop. I'm not gonna put a ton on this, but when I started just looking, control F Leishman, control F Adam Scott, where are these guys? And they were all bunched together in my rankings. So I'm like, well, I'm not certainly not gonna look at these, the guys that are 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. I'm gonna take the 9-1 because there's probably a little value there if I have them so closely bunched. So my last bet of the week will be Cam Davis top Aussie round one. And as you can see on the screen, I just unlocked some sunglasses. That'll look pretty cool. Maybe I'll switch that up. I didn't switch up any clothes this week. I just got a new putter, which it seemed to work out okay, although I can't really tell the difference in the game. So, quick review before we run. You can see here on the screen. Outright, we went with Hovland and Xander. It's funny. And Marquis head to head is Hovland over Xander. But long shots, Peters and Usti. We both went with top 20s there, plus 650 and plus 290. Hovland over X Man for you. Casey over Rose minus a stroke and a half for me. Peters over Perez for you. Cockrack over English. Grillo makes the cut. English misses the cut. Peters and Perez, the top countrymen from Belgium and France. We both said no on the hole in one, and then Griot top 10 is your wild card pancake stuff.
We're gonna have to
And
think of like a side bet since we're both on our outrights are against each other in a head to head.
I know it.
Which outright is gonna
Yeah,
do
it'll be
this?
funny. They
There has
both
to
like
be some type of.
they'll both miss the cut here and they'll end up tying. So the head to head just pushes. But
They're both gonna hit +5.
yeah, it would be nice to catch one of those. It's been a while. I think it's been like February since I hit a real outright that wasn't some sort of live grab later on. But yeah, I ended up. Let's look quick. I think 11 or 12 under. Look, I won 250 coins. I can spend that on more merch or something. I don't know. Where's the here round stats? Let's go. I think it was 11 or 12 under. Who knows? I hit a ball 348 yards though, so
You're Rory
I'm
McIlroy.
pretty
Welcome.
happy pretty happy with my driver. So all right, yeah, and if you have any questions, have any bets you like, obviously hit us up on Twitter, follow us on at APP the Green, at BETSPERTS, at Andy MSFW, at Pamela M. 35. You can find Pam on Twitter for all her content. She's doing more golf stuff, and I'm sure she'll be talking about some tennis if that's your bag too, because she does love to bet the ATP. And that's if you love golf,
Nobody
because
is up at 3 a.m. watching tennis like I did
yeah, yeah, and if you love golf because it's all year round, you would love tennis because it is all year round and all day long and in the middle of the night. So
all day long.
yeah, for Pam and me and the sponsor WinBet and BetSperts, this was Approaching the Green. We'll catch you next week.
Good luck with your bets.